Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again. And so are these fans. It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years. The Red Sox are world champions.
Boston organization has been well run for a long time now. From the top on down, here comes a 1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series. 5-1 the final tonight. And the best team in baseball wins it all in 2018.
The Red Sox have won the World Championship. The Boston Red Sox beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-1. They win the World Series 4-1. And the Red Sox become the first team in the 21st century with 4 World Championships. Can you believe it?
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Pesky Podcast. I'm your host, the Ritt. With me is our head writer, Mr. George Sutherland. George, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much. Just very happy that the Sox took 2 out of 3 in Chicago. So,
hey, I sit there and I love when we take 2 out of 3. It's not as good as a sweep, but it's just as good, especially when we're trying to catch that last wild card spot there. But today, George, we have a guest coming on from the Salem Red Sox. He is a pitcher, and going over his stats this season and his career are impeccable.
Yeah, they're impressive.
Yeah, let's bring him right on here, Mr. Jonathan Brand.
Hey,
what's going on, Jonathan?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
So, Jonathan, first off, I want to sit there and say, looking at your stats, you know, your career stats, the stats for this season, they are very impressive. And man, how does a guy like you get those stats and the confidence it builds going in every time you get called to go to the game?
Well, thank you, first of all. And I would say it's probably more of a mindset thing than anything. I'm not like out there trying to strike out the world or anything like that. It's really just all I'm trying to do is win a baseball game. And so college, I was a starter. And so obviously as a starter, like you try and go as long as you can and just try and give your team a chance to win. And the role I'm in now is more closing ball games. And so it's definitely a more intense role, but I love it. And it's just all about just trying to keep that lead and winning the baseball game.
Yeah, you went from the University of Miami, Ohio, starter, and now you're pretty much the closer most games. What is the transition like going from, hey, this is my day, this is my spot in the rotation, to, oh man, we're up by 1 run. I gotta get this call. I gotta get in there.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It took a little bit getting used to, especially in spring training, getting used to the recovery aspect of it and throwing on maybe just the next day or like 2 days rest or something like that. And so it took a little bit of time getting used to that. But to be honest, I mean, it feels pretty almost freeing a little bit. I don't have to worry about like saving my bullets or anything like that. And so it's nice to just go in there and let it eat for an inning and get out of there.
I'm kind of curious, Jonathan. What is the walkout song?
It's Iron Man by
Awesome.
I think by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Got it. It's most people when they come in, especially in the majors, and even when I've been at AAA and stuff and seeing them, the walkout song kind of sets the pace for the rest of the inning, gets you into it. But not only I've seen some places just erupt, like the crowds erupt, because they know the song's playing, who's coming in. Can you sit there and tell us about a time when the song's starting to play, you're coming out of the bullpen, and just the crowd's just electric?
So I wouldn't say it's really happened at home too much, honestly. There was a time in Myrtle Beach. We were down there, and I think it was the first game of the series, and so they get a pretty good crowd down there too. And they played Thunderstruck by AC/DC, and so any kind of like rock song like that kind of going. And so they were playing that song, and I came in the 10th inning, and so we do the runner on second base rules and stuff, and we had just scored in the top of the 10th, and so I had to shut it down, but the crowd was getting loud. I could hear the music going loud. It was getting me pretty pumped up, and it ended up going well for me. I got out of there and the guy didn't score or anything, so it was a good outing.
So draft. You got called the 8th round back in 2022. Was you what team? If you don't want to answer, what team would you prefer to be drafted by? What was your childhood team, and what was it like getting that phone call? And who'd you contact first?
Preferred, I would have taken any of the 30. I just wanted to play professionally. Growing up, I would say I was about as diehard of an Atlanta Braves fan as you could be. I was from Georgia. The 2021 World Series year was pretty fun for me. So, but and then first person I contacted, I was with my parents and my girlfriend when it happened. So they were standing right next to me when it happened. So it was not like I had to call anybody, but it was definitely a surreal experience. It was kind of a hectic experience as well, but it obviously was awesome.
What's it like, the transition pretty much of college? You're with the same group, same core of people, for the whole season, to getting called to spring training, and then, having to work your way up the ranks. People get injured, people getting called up, sent back down. What's it like for try to get gel together with your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's not totally different from what you would be like with your college teammates. We have a really good group of guys here in Salem, especially in the bullpen. There's 4 or 5 of us that hang out pretty regularly, and a couple of the guys starters, position players as well. But spring training was definitely a little mind-blowing when you first get there, and they send you out to the backfields, and you're stretching with 60 other guys at the same time. Everybody's trying to throw at all the same times, and it's definitely a hectic schedule. But it really it wasn't too much different because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just playing baseball, and so it's what we've all done our entire life. So I wouldn't say that part took too much adjusting. I would say getting used to the schedule is a little different. But other than that, it's pretty similar. Hold up, my roommate just walked on a podcast. Yeah, good job. My bad. My roommate is Brooks Brandon, by the way. So that's it. I mean,
howdy. Hey, you sit there and tell Brooks that we got him next.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was a hell of an introduction, by the way. Nice to meet you all. Sorry about that.
All right. That's my.
No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Hey, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your roommates. Is that the way it is?
Yeah. I got stuck with the 18-year-old, it seems. So it's just. I love him. He's a good dude. He's loud.
George, you have anything you want to ask?
Sure. Now you had the opportunity to go as a graduate transfer to go to Auburn. Is that correct? I mean, that's all. That was probably all part of that donut hole, which was COVID. So you want to talk about if that played into your decision at all when you got drafted in the 8th?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic opportunity to go to Auburn, be very close to home. Auburn's about 30, 45 minutes from my hometown. So it was going to be a great opportunity, but I knew if I heard my name called in the draft, I was going to take it. I knew that I wasn't looking for big money or anything like that. I was just looking for the opportunity to play at the next level. So, and Auburn was aware of that before I committed there and stuff. So, but yeah.
Now, how did when you got down to spring training this year, how did they approach you with respect to instead of being a starter, being a reliever in the case of closer? How they approach you on that one?
To be honest, they didn't really say anything to me. I didn't know what I was going to be doing until they started putting guys on starter rotations during spring training, and I wasn't one of them. And so I just realized that meant, all right, I'm in the pen, and that was the way it was going to be. But I love in the pen. It's a new challenge, but it's fun. So
cool.
Well, the pen. I always prefer when I go to Fenway to sit behind the bullpen because I love watching and listening to what goes on back there, because sometimes it can be a lot of fun. I watched Joe Kelly, 2 or 3 straight sunflower seeds in the cup. I've seen the AAA team play some bocce ball. What type of games do you guys play? What do you guys do out there to keep you guys busy?
I would say really for us, it's more just conversations more than anything. Every once in a while, we'll spin a cup onto the ground, and then you try and spin the next one into it, and that's really it's a lot harder than it sounds, and it takes just about the whole game for somebody to actually be able to do it. But more than anything, it's just fighting off seems like thousands of little kids that come and ask for a ball every second of the game. I mean, at one point we just started, we took a PVC pipe and drew the word no in the dirt and then point at it because we had just said no probably 50 times already that day. But yeah, more than anything, it's conversation. It's also kind of tough, especially being down in like a lower affiliate. Our bullpen is more Latino than anything, and so it's a lot of Spanish, and so they kind of joke around a little bit more than I would say that the Americans in the pen do. But it's a good group down there. We all have fun.
Yeah, those kids. I took my kid up to Fenway Park for his first game way back in like 2017, 2016. And we were sitting right behind the bullpen. And, of course, his eyes get big because he sees them. He's like, can I ask for a ball? I'm like, you can ask for a ball now. But once the game starts, don't bother them. They're at work. I said, they don't come to you at your job to bother you, so you don't bother them. Well, he just sat there the whole time. All these kids are coming up. He ended up getting the Drew Pomerantz warm-up ball and the Koji Yorihara warm-up ball because he just sat there, and the catcher out there was just amazing. He goes, you raised a great kid. And I'm like, no, I just, this is your job. Don't bother you guys. And
I wish more parents would be telling their kids that, because it's pretty. But if we get a excuse me, sir, or a please, we'll usually give one out. But most of the time it's, yo, can I get a ball? And we just have gotten we don't even respond to it. So. Yeah.
George?
Yeah, you point. This is your job. This is what you do. Kids love baseball and all the rest, but I mean, at some point they have to realize that this is what you do for a living, and to distract you is not a good thing. And I know when I took my kids to the Red Sox, or even when they played in Pawtucket in AAA and Portland in AA, it's like, we're not going to bother the guys. They're playing now. If we get lucky enough and somebody gives you, signs a ball, great. If not, hey, that's okay. There's somebody else is getting an opportunity. So yeah, I think it's good. And you're right. I think more parents should have that conversation with their kids.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Jonathan, you're kind of stuck with the. I won't use the word stuck, but you're kind of living with one of the catchers.
Yeah.
So you guys get to build a good relationship. How important is it to you to build that relationship with your catcher, to be comfortable enough to trust his judgment, especially closing out games?
Yeah, it's definitely a big part of it. Him getting to learn what you like to throw and when you like to throw it and stuff like that. And yeah, I would say it takes a couple appearances together to really understand the gel and the mesh and stuff like that. But there's a lot of conversations that happen, and we just kind of talk about things that, like, I know that I like, or another guy in our bullpen likes, or what one of our starters likes, or something like that. And so it's definitely nice to just be able to walk across the room and he's there and we can just talk about whatever we want. So
you don't have to pick your roommate, but who's the bond you have as a catcher, and who's your preferred catcher? Bottom of the ninth, games, you guys are up by 1.
So far, I mean, Brooks, he just got here very recently, and I haven't even had a chance to throw to him yet, and so I couldn't. I would say him, but I couldn't because I haven't even thrown to him. But we have a guy, his name's Inderso Lira. He's pretty good. He's kind of been our 1A catcher, and I'd say Brooks is probably our 1B now that he's here, and so he does a good job back there calling games, and he's caught me almost all my appearances, and so he really understands what I like to throw, and I'm a pretty off-speed heavy guy, and so he understands that.
If there was a pitch that you would love to add in your arsenal, what would it be? The weirdest answer I've got so far was from Maceo Campbell with his Vulcan changeup. So, and I haven't heard that for forever. But what would be something you would love to add to your arsenal?
To be honest with you, a couple miles an hour on the fastball wouldn't hurt. But I would say we've really been working on my slider a lot this year. I came into spring training and it was kind of more of a loopier pitch, and we've really developed it into just like a shorter and harder slider. And so that seemed to work a lot. So I'll just honestly say just more consistency with that and just being able to have more confidence with that pitch.
George?
Yeah. Any of the guys on the staff kind of, you guys work well together in terms of, hey, he's got he's got a good changeup, or he's a little bit better, with a couple more miles an hour on the fastball. You get along with somebody and kind of like you push each other a little bit, or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I pretty much have the same throwing partner every day. I throw with a guy named Caleb Bolden pretty much every day, and I know what his stuff does. He knows what mine does. He can, if I do something in catch play and he sees it, he's going to tell me. If I see something with him, I'm going to tell him. And so we know how to cue each other pretty well, and that just comes with like constant repetition and stuff like that. And we were even having a conversation in the bullpen, a few of us down there. We were trying to help a guy with a slider grip, and we were just showing him all of our slider grips to see what might feel comfortable in his hand, and just so he could try it out next time he played catch.
Cool.
Yeah. What exactly, when you first came to spring training and then, you went into the season, did anybody kind of like take you under their wing and be like, hey, I see something I like, let's work on it, or just give you some basic advice?
To be honest with you, and it was a pretty cool situation I got myself in. I went to this Bible study during spring training with a couple of guys in our org and a couple of guys in the Twins org. And one of the guys who happened to go to it was Garrett Whitlock. And I had me not knowing who he was. I went up to him and was like, hey, man, nice to meet you. I'm Jonathan. He said, oh, I'm Garrett. And I was like, oh, which org are you in? Because there's a bunch of Twins and Red Sox guys there. And he's like, Red Sox. And I was like, okay, cool. Same here. I was like, where were you last year? And he was like, thinking he was like an affiliated player. Yeah. He's like, oh, I was in Boston. Like, oh, okay. But he's a real nice guy. He was probably my favorite big leaguer that I met on our roster, and he kind of gave me some advice, gave me some pointers about spring training. It was very nice to see a big leaguer not feel like guy who just gotten drafted was below his level or something like that to talk to, and so it was cool to meet him and get to know him a little bit.
Yeah, that's something I always enjoyed when I talk to people. I'm like, rehab assignments. Like, do you guys all pick their brain? Do you sit there and ask for advice? Do they help you? And I haven't heard anything bad about anybody that's come down on a rehab assignment or who's been sent down, that they're not helping other teammates. They're not trying to work with them and get them to where ultimately everybody wants to go, the show.
Yeah, it really seems like everybody's helping everybody. There's like a bunch of guys in the org, like we all pretty much watch each other's bullpens during spring training. We all watch each other's lives. We're all pumped up for each other. There's a bunch of guys I'm still in communication with that are in AA or that are in high A or something like that. That they're always checking in on me. I'm checking in on them. So it's a good relationship that we have with a lot of guys in different affiliated levels in the org.
One question I always love asking, because Maceo was someone that he's always was pushing for up there in Greenville. Batting practice for pitchers if they're doing well. What are your thoughts? On why can't we get a couple of reps here on some BP if we're doing so good?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, it would be awesome, and it's a ton of fun when we do get to hit BP, but I don't think that will ever happen just because they're too scared that one of us will do something to us, just trying to swing and hit the ball way out of the park, and none of us can probably do it. But it's always a fun question to ask. Hey, if we get a couple shutouts, can we get batting practice? And that gets time without a doubt.
So let's switch gears a little bit. What do you like to do in your free time? No baseballs, just you and whatever you want to do.
Me and whatever I want to do. If it's the summertime, I love going to the lake, sitting there on a little float or something in the water, or driving around on the boat. I would say that would be my big thing. And then if it's wintertime, probably I'm a big movie guy. I like to watch different types of movies and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I would say either going to the lake or just relaxing and watching a movie or something like that.
Top 3 movies of all time, what are they for you?
Oh, man. Putting me on the spot. Ooh. I'm going to have to think about this one. I'm a pretty big Christopher Nolan fan, the director, so I'm pretty excited about this new movie that's coming out. But I think I'd have to throw The Dark Knight in there.
Okay.
I think I'd have to throw. Oh, this is so tough. Maybe Inglourious Bastards. I think that's a really good one. And then the third one. I don't know if I could give you 3 off the top of my head. Those are probably my top 2. I'll give you 2. I don't know if I could.
Okay, I'll take 2, but now with the Dark Knight, I'm gonna have to ask you, in your opinion, who's the best Batman that ever played?
I think Christian Bale.
Ooh.
You're not a fan of that one?
I'm more of I'm a little bit older than you.
Okay.
So I've got to go Michael Keaton.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, those are just the ones I like, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So, what do you like to do family time wise? You're going home, during in between series, you're going home, in the off season. What all do you like to do there?
I would say my family loves to go to the lake as well. That's pretty much what we're doing, and if we have the opportunity. And to be honest, we love just watching baseball. That's what I've kind of grown up doing. It's what my dad grew up doing, and so we're definitely a big baseball family. And so that, and we like to go out to eat and just find good things to eat and stuff like that. Usually once off season, we'll probably take a a small trip somewhere, something like that. We like to kind of go explore something and go somewhere we haven't been before.
Man, how sweet would it be? You know, you get called up to the game, and you get to close out your first game, and it'll be against the Braves, you know, your childhood team.
Yeah, it would be awesome. It would be a lot of fun. Not sure. I think my dad would have had trouble picking who he's going to cheer for a minute, but then he definitely it would be awesome. I'm definitely hopefully looking forward to that one day.
George?
If you weren't playing baseball, what would you be doing?
I think I'd be a physical therapist. I was kind of the degree I was going towards. I have a degree in kinesiology from Miami, and so would have had to make the decision if I wanted to go to a couple more years of school or not. But I think that's what I would have probably ended up doing.
Excellent.
So, okay, Jonathan, we're going to sit there and we're going to wrap this up, but I always have a great question I love to ask. We're going to go hot tub time machine.
Okay.
You can go in any time, any era of baseball, and you bottom of the ninth, you're on the mound. Who do you want to face?
Ooh. I mean, I feel like I think Barry Bonds is the best hitter of all time, so I would want to say him. I think give me the best one. Let me see what I can do. But era, I would say I'd probably want to throw in the steroid era, just best on best and see what happens. So I like.
I sit there and we get a lot of Barry Bonds, you know, answers, but it's like he's technically stat wise he's the best. You know what I mean? Pitchers didn't want to face him. You know, he got walked, you know, way more than what people do nowadays because of what he could sit there and do. So I love that you don't want to step up to the challenge and, you know, go right at him.
Mm-hmm.
So George, you have any final questions?
Just one. When you were growing up, did you ever try to model yourself after a pitcher, or who was your favorite pitcher growing up?
Favorite pitcher growing up, I would say it probably changed as I got older. I would say it started with Greg Maddux on the Braves. He was pretty impressive. I wouldn't say I watched a ton of him when he was on the Braves just because I was so young, but seeing the old videos and all that stuff and learning, I would say, to pitch from him and learning how to hit the corner or mix your pitches and things like that. Mm-hmm. I would say, honestly, as of recent, I do the hesitation in quick pitches and stuff like that, kind of like Stroman does. So I'd say in high school I started picking up on that and implementing that into my game.
Super.
Well, yeah. Well, Jonathan, thanks for sitting there and giving us some of your time stopping by. We hope to sit there and build a relationship like we do with everybody else and follow you along in your journey. You know, when you get called up to Greenville, we would love to sit there and talk and, you know, so on and so forth if you're be willing to come back.
Yeah, that sounds great. I had a great time on here today and looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm going to sit there and who knows, maybe you can sit there and photo bomb, video bomb Buxies if we can get him on.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that one. That's just the 18-year-old in him, I guess.
All good, man.
So, hey, do you want to tell everybody where they can hit you up at or follow you at?
Yeah, it's just at Jonathan Brand _, on pretty much any social media site. I think it's all the same wherever you Twitter, Instagram, I guess Facebook too. I don't get on TikTok or anything like that, but
well, I don't even know how to use TikTok, so
yeah, it's pretty much just Twitter and Instagram are my two main ones. So
well, thanks a lot, Jonathan, for stopping by, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yep.
Take care, man.
Man, George, there we were. You know, we sat down with Jonathan, and you know, it's a great. I enjoy starters interviewing them, but I love interviewing people that, you know, are closers also. Like, they're kind of like my bread and butter because they're always, when they come in, it's the high leverage situation right there.
Right. And he, you know, from going from being a starter in college, he's embraced it and just kind of like naturally picked it up. I mean, you look at his stats. I mean, he's 2-1 with a .90 ERA and a WHIP of .85. I mean, those are video game numbers.
Exactly.
And he's just kind of, yep, it's what they want me to do. I'm going to go out and do it. And he's very kind of down to earth about everything too. So that's pretty cool.
So let's get back to the series that just ended today, or ended this past couple of days. The Chicago Cubs. We went and sat down and had a great interview earlier. The Red Sox took 2 out of 3. So what were a couple key points I wanted to go over?
Sure.
One, let's start with the downer part. The negativity I could not stand when Paxton had his first legitimate bad outing of the season. Like, people were so ignorant on Twitter,
I don't get it. I mean, look, every good pitcher, great pitcher has a clunker, a real stinker, right? This was his. I mean, when he gave up that bomb to Bellinger, I was like, oh boy, okay, well, this is not his day. And then, he was doing great. And then the third inning came along and, he just kind of lost it. The other thing to remember too, he is coming back from injury and, he's pushing himself, and I'm not blaming an injury or anything like that, but I mean, he was due for something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He owned it afterwards. He said, hey, this is going to happen. And, he'll probably come out motivated as all get out his next start and, look like the Paxton we've seen again. He's a pitcher. This stuff happens. Every pitcher has a bad one every now and then. And you're right. I Twitter blew up. Well, what's going on with him? Is he hurt? Is he this? He didn't have it.
Yeah.
He simply did not have it. We talked Friday, and when we were talking in the pre-series, I thought that with Bayo and Paxton up front, we'd be fighting to see if we could win today.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see him exiting after 3. So yeah, I mean he had a bad one. Okay.
Yeah. Bayo looked like Bayo.
Oh my God.
He had some small situations that he got himself into, but Bayo, another solid performance. Today was the shocker. Cutter Crawford, 6 shutout innings, 9 Ks.
And he pitched himself out of trouble too. It didn't phase him. Buckled down, did what he was supposed to. I mean,
yeah,
that was impressive. And then it came along. Jakes did his job, and then Faria comes in, and yike,
You have to think that this is the first time he got called up. We were ahead. You got to sit there and give the kid a chance. What did you think on, what was it, game 1 when they had to bring Kenley in?
I was like, no. Let's get through this, because you may need him, Saturday or Sunday. I was kind of hoping that didn't have to happen, but he comes in, he did his job, and he left. I mean, to me, the big story in game 1 was the return of the home run ball.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they've been hitting them, but they've been few and far between. Devers goes deep twice, and then Casas decides to go lift off, and 6 home runs. Yu Chang got into the act. I mean, you can throw 6 home runs up there, and that's been something that's been missing for a while. The long ball. Then Massa goes off today for that grand slam. But today they have one of those death by 1,000 cut innings,
Mm-hmm.
single hit, double hit. So they beat out of ground, or defense makes an error, bad throw, and then next thing grand slam, have a nice day, we kind of put the game out of reach. But yeah, I mean, this was the return of the home run ball to the Red Sox offensive arsenal. It was nice to see.
Yeah, and
I mean,
not only
they're
that,
playing in Wrigley, which is a bandbox, but I mean, still, it's nice to see.
Well, not only that, we were able to get a jump start on the second half where we weren't coming out slumping. The bats stayed hot, and they kept moving. I was reading because everybody was complaining about Kike being at shortstop yet again for Game 2. But AC sit there and said that Chang's not ready yet to go back-to-back games. And yeah. I can understand that, because if he's going to be our shortstop for the remainder of the season, we got to ease him, back in, because he did just come off the IL.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other opportunities for people. You can't keep putting Kike there. Reyes is almost ready to come back. They want him to play 2 or 3 more games in a row down there.
He started at third though today, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to build his stamina up for play 3 games in a row before he can come back up. So it's like, I understand, but we gotta soon get away from that. AC told everybody Kike was done at shortstop.
Right. Exactly. And I get nervous every time I see him out there. And even at second base, again, I think he's trying so hard to prove himself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get to the ball. That's not the problem. It's, what happens when he throws the ball. It either is up the line over the first baseman's head, or someplace where it's not supposed to be. What he needs is a laser guided arm system to put the ball in the glove. And, sometimes, and he hasn't learned to, when he makes the great play to stop it, sometimes you got to put it in his pocket. He hasn't learned that either. So, I mean, but he goes out in the outfield, and he's a terror to the opposing team on defense. So, I don't know. Is he playing on a position? I guess now he's probably a better center fielder than he ever was an infielder. But, he came up through the system as an infielder. So, in the Dodgers. So who knows?
Yeah. Massa today he just went off. He drove in a couple RBIs on that triple. Yeah. He went and he had that grand slam. So Massa, every person that worked for all the 29 other MLB teams that said that the Red Sox overpaid.
Yeah.
I would love to know who they are and send them all flowers. Just the simple fact is, you got to be eating your words now, because I think, and honestly, we underpaid for him.
I would say if the negotiations happen today, he gets $25 million on top of the posting, over at least to get started. But I mean, the one, I'll tell you the one thing that got me when I was watching the game today is in the 9th inning when they brought in the catcher, Barnhart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Barnhart's throwing meatballs up there at 40-something miles an hour, and he did hit one in the 70s when he, it's like had the booth all excited. But, everybody else was kind of like trying to feel like, I'm just trying to survive up here. And, Massa took his time and, banged one to right field. It's like, I don't care who you're throwing against me. I'm going to hit the ball. And, he's hitting home runs too. I had figured him for about 15,
mm-hmm.
And, maybe 60, 70 RBIs. He's 11 home runs now, 50 RBIs or something or close. He should easily exceed that.
Yeah.
And he's definitely surprised me, with when he does uncoil, it goes a long way. But I think the other thing is we tend to discount the Japanese league a lot. For every Shohei Ohtani, for every
Hideki Matsui,
Hideki
Ichiro.
Matsui, Ichiro, right? There's guys like that are on the like the Cubs, Suzuki, right? Supposedly is supposed to be good. It's no different than you draft him. It's no different than taking a kid out of college or a kid out of high school. You think it's going to play well. Either they don't adjust well, or they figure them out and they can't make the appropriate. They don't make the balanced adjustments going up. But yeah, it's clearly that you're right. They've underpaid. Based on right now, Red Sox are sitting out. This is found money, man. And the best part is he's having fun. Mm-hmm. He seems to have an unbelievable smile on his face every time he does something good. Seems like his teammates love him. So
yeah, and he just turned 30. So
yeah,
he just had a birthday. Was Saturday?
Yes, yesterday. Yeah.
So yeah, do you think, George, it kind of negates a little bit when you sign a Japanese player that they come right to the big league roster, that you don't have time to work with them on some things, like as you would develop them through the minor league system?
Yes, because they've played professional ball, albeit in Japan. They played professional ball for a while. So, when you draft somebody and you take them in the minors, there's that maturity piece, there's that growing pain, there's the travel, there's all kinds of stuff, people coming and going off of rosters, all of that. I think the biggest jump for them is, one is culture. Mm-hmm. Okay. 2, a lot of Japanese baseball is played indoors. Okay. So, that's a big change. They're a long way from home. If you draft a kid from California and they're playing on the East Coast, they're only 3 hours from home, as opposed to a 12-hour difference in Japan. So, mm-hmm. There's a lot. It's a different style. The good ones seem to be able to make the adjustment, and the really good ones do it well. We just mentioned a few.
Yeah.
I think coming into next season, the pitcher Yamamoto, he I think a lot of people are going to take a look at him based on what he did in the WBC, and Yoshida's a success. Everybody's going to try to find that next big Japanese signing now. It's a copycat league. Everybody wants to have the steal.
Yeah. So, one of our good friends, Narcisco Crook, did you sit there and see that the first in Woo Sox history?
I did. I was like,
the park home run.
I'm watching him like, go man, go man, go, and he just put his head down and went, and that was a lot of fun to see. Those were exciting plays anyway. The ball hits and caroms off, and it's just if you got any kind of speed, you're thinking that, can I do it? Yes. And then when he finally turned the Jets on for home, I was like, go baby, go. That was a lot of fun to watch.
I can't wait to see him this week. I can't wait to ask him about that. And I can't wait to give him his Pesky Podcast shirt.
Oh, there you go. That's right. They're in Scranton this week. I forgot.
Yeah, they're in Scranton. DC and I are going to sit there and head up there. Adam hooked us up yet again. I got Theo and Narcisco's their Pesky Podcast shirts. So
excellent.
For coming on and being a guest, and I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
I'm in Wednesday night. I'm at the Sea Dogs game with Deb, so we'll kind of get a second look at Marcelo and a couple of the other guys that have come up. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. Sometimes I enjoy the AAA and the AA teams, a little bit better, because it's they're all out having fun and just doing their job. I don't have to worry about going on Twitter and hearing that the manager doesn't know what he's doing. It's like it's sometimes that it really kills me.
Everybody has an opinion. I think a lot of this is pent up over the last few years, where the Sox record has been just god awful terrible. Except for except for 21, when they just, came within a couple of games of, reaching the series again. Yeah, this is a rebuild. It is what it is. It's a rebuild. And I think I said this the other day in one of the articles I wrote, the Red Sox farm system is now an asset, where you could not say that 3-4 years ago, right? They were just, what'd you have? Maybe one or two players. Now it's an asset. Now that they fleeced some teams for some decent prospects. They've drafted well. They've got some exciting players in their system. Okay. And now they've got other teams go, oh yeah, I'd like a Cedeno Rafaela in my squad, or, down lower, you got Mickey Romero. You've got, they're not going to get rid of Meyer, and there's certainly
was it Roman Anthony down there?
The Roman Anthony Blythe. I mean, they've got some studs down there. Okay. It's kind of an enviable position to be in, but you don't want to put your system in the dumper again if you decide to unload. If you're going to unload, it's got to be worth something. So, but yeah, it's an asset to the team, and if they play well, it could bring them something of real value, at the deadline. But Oakland, they've got to go in there at a minimum 2 out of 3. They really need to go in there and beat them down for a sweep. Okay, they really do.
Let's quickly talk about the Oakland series because we couldn't find anybody to talk about the Oakland.
We both tried, man. It was
it's crazy because when right after I did sent a lot of those messages, Twitter changed it to where you have to be verified or the person has to change a setting to message people now.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like, man, this is crazy.
I mean, I can go in the closet and get a paper bag, and I can, be the unknown A's commentator if you like. I mean,
No, but man, we need a sweep. Like,
yeah,
we can't, even with the bullpen game that we're gonna be having coming tomorrow, and possibly the 18th also. Like, we might have back-to-back bullpen games.
Yeah, they don't even get a day. They don't even get a day off.
No, we don't get a day off until Thursday. And
usually you send your starter out ahead of time, right, to go acclimate themselves to the West Coast, and they don't even get that. So, yeah, this will be a real test, coming out of the chute. But Oakland's, they really have to go up and bear down and just say, listen, boys, it's time for a beatdown.
Yeah, we do have some. Schreiber pitched another inning today. He gave up a home run, and then he went three ground ball outs right afterwards. So, hope he's supposed to be able to come back to the Oakland series.
If not, they said definitely the Mets series. So,
and man, I got a great guy coming in to help us cover the Mets series.
Oh, great.
This week. So, but man, George, overall, what was your highest point you had in the Cubs series, and the lowest point?
Lowest point's easy. Paxton's start. It was too bad. We could have, had he pitched like he had been, it could have been very easily a sweep. But like I said, he was due for it, so I'm not totally upset. But it was a low point for me. The high point was Friday night when they went off 6 times and hit 6 home runs, because that kind of explosiveness in the offense hasn't been there. They've been dinking and dunking in the death by 1,000 cuts offense of late. Now they put the long ball back in play, and that was really good because they're going to need that. Summertime's heating up. They're going to need guys to go deep more often. So, it's kind of like a lost art, and then all of a sudden they go off for 6, and they got 3 today as well. So, that works.
Yeah. My high point has to be Game 1, Raffy.
Yeah, Colin is 2 on the plane back from the DR too.
Yeah, like man, that's special to see him coming back. Like, okay, I missed the All-Star game, but this is what you missed. First 2 at bats, 2 home runs, like that.
Yeah.
That kid can shut you down in an instant. So,
his average is starting to climb too.
Yeah, yes, it is. My low has to be the defense. The defense. We can't sit there and lose games by our defense, especially when the offense is doing so well.
Yeah.
So
it's like when they start, it's like they can't. They're like a puppy on ice. They just can't stop. But today, for example, the defense played very well. Crawford got out by getting a couple of double plays behind him, and the Chang and Royo around second base combination did a pretty good job. So
yeah, I don't know when Trevor Stories is supposed to start a rehab assignment sometime soon. Hoping this series coming up. Hoping this series coming up. That'd be great.
That'd be good.
I really wish we could get Chris Sale there too.
Well, if they send him,
I'm not greedy, George. I'm not greedy.
If they send him to Portland, I'll be happy.
They might, because looking at the roster, looking at Woo Sox's roster earlier, they have a lot of people on assignment down there right now.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We've got Richard Blyers down there. Lament's down there. He's not on assignment, but
they're trying to bring him around.
Yeah. Schreiber's down there.
Who else is down there?
Let's see. Valdez is down there.
Valdez is down there, right? Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that they don't want too many assignments there.
Yeah, so you might.
Reyes is in Portland, so I don't know where they plan to place him. My guess is that with Portland at home this week, maybe Story starts in Portland because he's closer to Boston. In the event that there's an issue,
of course he would. Stay away from us.
I'm sorry, it'd be a tough thing for me, but I'll survive.
Yeah. So, but no, I sit there and I'm going to enjoy this time this week. Getting to rekindle some friendships that we made overall. And George, you had a great article that you put out this week. You want to give the listeners a little tidbit of it?
Sure. So this past week I did a 3-part series on the trade deadline. And, I identified, in part 1, who I felt on the 40-man roster were potential candidates to go, and then graded them 1 to 10 on the likelihood of it happening. And then, I talked about, who's the most likely to go. And the last part was, who'd you go shopping for? Okay. And there were the usual suspects, the Giolitos, there's Dylan Ceases. We talked about Tim Anderson a couple of times. I think he'd be a perfect fit, and he would definitely save Trevor Story's arm, and I think we both agree. If I'm the manager or if I'm the head, I'm not going to risk his arm. It's like, you want him back, you want him hitting. Second base is probably the better way to go. He's still going to play like an animal, but I don't want him making that strong throw from deep in the hole shortstop either. When he's trying to prove himself coming back, because he's like Chris Sale. He's gonna try to over and outdo himself all the time. And I even tossed up the idea of a Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani, coming here, and other players that might be possibly here. I floated the Goldie thing again, which I think would be an outstanding move.
What did you think about the Shane Bieber talk before he went on the IL?
I was never a big Shane Bieber guy. He didn't wow me. I mean, he's a decent pitcher, but it was not like say, oh yeah, we got to, I'd take him. I take Giolito and Cease before him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he just never was a player that I was, madly in love with to say, yeah, I'd like to have him on my team, but that's one man's opinion.
Last question for you about the trade deadline. If you had to give up 6 of your top 10 prospects for Shohei, would you do it? Or if you knew you had the in and you were going to throw the money at him next offseason, would you wait, keep your farm system, and throw the checkbook at him next year?
I'd probably throw the checkbook. Because for the long haul, if you emptied your farm system for him, it's still a rental. You have no guarantee. You'd like to think he'd like to play alongside Yoshida for 5 or 6 years, right? And, I wouldn't be surprised if the Sox are heavily in on Yamamoto either. They'd be a tremendous 1-2 punch in the lineup. But to only have him for 2 months of the season and then lose him, and then, suddenly you're missing, Marcelo Meyer, Nick York, start going down, Rafaela, Drohan, Roman Anthony, Mata, pick your, stop picking your guys, right? And those guys weren't around and they're gone. You're not that good that you think if you said they were odds-on favorites to go into the World Series and this was like you're just going to stamp it all the way, yeah, you'd do that, but they're not there yet. You want them to get to the playoffs and you want them to do well, but they're not that kind of club. Could they be dangerous in the playoffs? Sure, but yeah, not for a rental, I wouldn't do it. I'd open up the checkbook and say, "What do you want?" Here it is.
I would even be crazy, like. What the Yankees did with Hideki Matsui and worked with the Japanese, what was it, the news channel or something like that, or the TV channel, and they
right.
And they rented the billboard behind, what was it, right field that he played in?
I think so, yeah.
And that paid a good chunk of Matsui's contract, the advertising, the sponsorship. If you could get a nice sponsorship with Shohei over there in Fenway Park. Well, first off, I would sit there and the whole green monster, I would sell that to Japan for advertising, and then I would throw a ridiculous number, and everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be 500 for 10 years.
No,
I would sit there and flip flop that. I would go 100 million a year for 5 years.
I think I wrote in my article the other day, it's 5 or 6 years at 55 or so a year.
I would go crazy. It's not my checkbook. I would say,
well, certainly not mine. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I'd be like, dude, Shohei, we're going to bring him in for 5 years. He's going to look at me weird. And I'll be like, 100 million a year.
The thing to remember too, he's the greatest two-way player the world has ever seen. Okay. At some point in his career, he's got to make a decision. What am I? My guess is he sticks with the bat, because that'll bring him the most money in the long haul. That could be coming up in 3 years. You don't know. Right.
Yeah.
And I think, smart teams will look at that. And I think the Red Sox are going to look at it and say, that's why I wouldn't be surprised if they said 6 years, $60 million, right, a year. All right, that's $360 million for 6 years. Okay, if you get that out of it and then you still got a little bit left in the tank, he'll make the money on the other side without a problem. But 10 years, 10-year contracts are dangerous. And last year, you saw what happened in the offseason. Everybody was getting 10, 11, 12-year contracts. Those never work out.
The Padres are kicking themselves. That's why Soto's is being thrown out there.
Oh, they can't afford him. They can't afford him. I'd empty he's still not a free agent until what, 25, right? So I mean, I throw three prospects and maybe a big leaguer and some kind of pitching prospect out there and say I'll take him, because they simply can't afford him. They've got too much on the books right now, and they're all either shortstops or third baseman, and they're trying to find places for them to play.
Okay, George, play GM right now. You're talking to the Padres, and they said we'll take 3 prospects, a pitching prospect, but you got to give us Duran or Verdugo. Do you do it?
Yep.
Which one?
I give him Duran. Okay, because if you give him Duran, presumably you have Rafaela to take his place. Okay, mm-hmm. Or you keep Duvall, right? Right. Prospects, Mickey Romero, Roman Anthony, and maybe Blaze Jordan. That gives him hitting. Another shortstop, but a younger one that could be put on the right hand side of the infield. Mm-hmm. A power outfielder coming up, which is what they want. And let somebody roam center field for them. And then as for pitching prospect, don't know. Maybe Mata.
Yeah, well, he's I think he's on the 7-day. Yeah, I think he's finishing up his 7-day IL.
Yep, he's due to come back.
So, but George, thanks for coming on, helping us out here on the Pesky Podcast. Really enjoy your time on here with us every time. I
appreciate coming on. I love being on. I appreciate the fact that you have me on. So thank you very much.
So guys, check out all of our stuff on YouTube, past interviews, past series updates. Head on over to all major platforms, Spotify, Apple, iHeart. Download our podcast, and guys, not only do we have this interview we just done today with Jonathan Brand, we have a great Met series preview coming up. We're going to be talking about the 86 World Series a little bit, and then we're going to be talking about the series. So for George, for myself, thanks for tuning in to the Pesky Podcast.